Hi there, gorgeous. Hope you're doing fabulously. In today's video, I am testing out $400 approximately worth of Charlotte Tilbury makeup. Charlotte Tilbury has been out in Sephora stores for a while. It's nothing new, but I've never tried any of her products, so I wanted to test out some of them. And I asked many of you on Twitter, which ones should I test? And I had a lot of really great feedback from so many of you. I also looked at some of the best sellers on Sephora's website, the products with the highest ratings, and wanted to pick those up to test for you here today. I have conducted a thorough wear test at the end of the video also. I'll show you how these products hold up throughout the day. Are they worth $400 or not? Beginning with the eyes, I'm using an eyeshadow quad here from Charlotte Tilbury in the shade Uptown Girl, and I purchased this one specifically for the gray eyeshadows in here because gray eyeshadows with blue eyes are electrifying. I watched several videos of Charlotte applying the eyeshadows in her quads so I could get a good feel for how she's telling you to apply them. I wanted to try the technique out myself too. Let me just tell you, I could listen to this woman talk all day. I love her accent, her poise, the way she carries herself. She is someone you don't want to turn off. And when the video ends, you're like, aw, I could listen to British people talk all day long. I love your accents. I really do. I know I probably have the accent. I do already have an eyeshadow primer applied. I used the NARS one today, and I'm going to start with the eyeshadow up here. And she says to use this to prime the eye. So I would typically apply a blending shade all over my eye to begin my application process, but I haven't done that here. I'm going to go with the method that she has put forward, and she applied this all over, which it's very shimmery, but we're going to work with that. And next I'm taking this gray shade next to the first one I used, using that in the socket line in the crease to define the eyes. Well, I would tell you what, you really don't need much pressure when you're applying these. They just go on with the smallest touch of the brush to your eye. And then she would take this eyeshadow, Smoke, and use it to smoke the outer edge a little more. And I'm using that on the outer corner to add some definition to the eyes. This is the only matte eyeshadow out of all four. The rest of them are shimmers. So you get 3 shimmers, 1 matte. And then finally you take this eyeshadow right here, which is a very glittery eyeshadow, and pop it onto the inner half of the lid. I should not have to apply this wet. I really shouldn't. This thing should be doing my laundry for how expensive it was. I am having to dig into the eyeshadow a little more than the others to get it onto the brush. It's not as strong an application as I would like to see at this price point. I am going to be picky. I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to be picky because this is not a price point that we mess around with usually, especially when you're using an eyeshadow to pop the eyes and add a lot of dimension. I mean, it's not a bad eyeshadow. It just could use a bit more strength behind it. The final look is surprisingly pretty. It's not one that I would have picked for myself. Next product I'm using here is her Brow Lift 3-Way Shape Tool. So this is in the shade Grace K. You get a spoolie on one end, the product on the other end for defining the brows, making hairs, and then if you take this section out, you get a powder for filling them in. I'm going to start with the end that draws in the hairs. Just use that to make simple strokes into my brows. Well, so far so good. Looks like it filled in all the sparse areas nicely. Now I was wrong earlier when I said that the shape function on here was for filling in the brows. No. That's a highlighting powder that you put underneath, like right about here. That's nice. It's very natural looking. It is definitely not one of your Instagram brows. And this is a product I could see myself using a second time, a third time, fourth time, because it looks effortless. Like, that's how my brows look with no makeup. If you're interested in the lashes I'm wearing here today, these are from my brand Inky Minky Lashes in the style White Lie. I will have them linked below for you. They're some of my favorites because they're so natural looking and they let an eyeshadow look like this talk without overpowering it. Moving on to the face. When I asked my friends on Twitter what I should try from the Charlotte Tilbury line, a lot of you came back and said the foundation and the concealer. So I did pick up the Light Wonder Youth Boosting Perfect Skin Foundation. And the shade I'm using here is number 1 Fair. I'm going to use that much to start to see the type of coverage I get with this foundation. It's a rather thick formula, which is why I'm saying that. And I am going to use a brush on this side. I'm using the Fenty Beauty number 110 foundation brush, and I'm going to blend that in over here. I forgot what coverage level this foundation was. Let's see if I can find the box. I think it was a lighter coverage. It was not full coverage from what I remember, and I liked seeing that because I knew that Charlotte Tilbury is the type that wants your skin to look like skin. And that's exactly what I'm seeing here. It blends in really easily too, and it looks like skin afterwards. It doesn't look caked on. I'm going to use a sponge on this side. By the way, this may look like a lot. It's really not because I took one small dot on my finger and I really spread it around my face. So I'm not using much of this product at all for application. Next product I have to test out is her Magic Away Liquid Concealer, and the shade that I'm using here is number 2 Fair. Oh, okay, this looks like the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind a little bit. I'm going to click it at the bottom to get the product out of the foam tip applicator up top here. Hopefully it doesn't take as long as the Maybelline one did. Where are you? Okay, I'm just now getting product out of the tip there. Going to apply this under the eyes. I'll use a sponge on this eye to start to blend it in. Well, it's really pretty and you didn't need much for application. You can see from this eye to this eye the type of coverage that I got with it. And so far so good. Using a brush on this eye over here. This is another Fenty Beauty brush. I'm obsessed with these brushes right now. Oh my gosh, they're so good. This is the new concealer brush, number 180. And to set everything, I'm going to use her wrong video, Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder. And once again, this is in the shade number 1 Fair. That's a little bit like that Fenty Pro Filter Setting Powder. It blurs the skin and instantly reduces the appearance of your pores. It looks simply beautiful. When I asked on Twitter about products to try from this line, Laura responded and says, everyone raves about her blushes, the ones that look like a nipple. It does. Girl, I'll never look at this blush the same way again. I bet you won't either. Thank you, Laura. So the next product I'm trying out is her Cheek Too Chic Swish and Pop Blusher. The shade that I'm using here is First Love. I'm going to apply that on the cheeks. Very light pigment. I did not put much on the brush. I guess that's how I should word it, is that you don't need much for application because you can see with the smallest amount the light wash of color that you get with it. Last product I had to share with you is one of her matte lipsticks, and Denise on Twitter told me the lip cheats are my holy grail and the only ones I like, and her matte lipsticks are divine. So I did pick up one of her Matte Revolution long-lasting lipsticks, and this is in the shade Pillow Talk, which I know is a very popular color. It's a simple nude from the way it looked on the website, a little darker nude than what I typically go for, but I figured I'd give it a shot. It's pretty. It's not my typical favorite. I like a little bit of a lighter lipstick than this, but we'll roll with it today. I'm gonna say it again just in case you missed it somewhere. $400. That's 4, 2 zeros. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, this is what my face looked like at the end of the day. Yeah, I don't even know where to start with this face. First of all, the foundation looked absolutely awful. That's terrible. I've got $10 drugstore foundations that look a lot better than that. at the end of the day. I mean, a lot better than that. So very disappointed by how greasy and nasty. But the concealer was pretty good. I will give it that. I liked the coverage. It did wear pretty well throughout the day. I did not notice any creasing or separation under the eyes. So that was a pretty good product out of all the ones here. The eyeshadow was, for me, not my favorite. The pigment was really good. I like the quality of it. I just did not care for the application method that Charlotte designed for those eyeshadow palettes. So if I went back and used it again, I would probably apply the eyeshadows differently. And in that way of thinking, I did like the eyeshadow palettes in terms of quality. I just did not like the look that I created with them in the application that I tried. The blush, now that was pretty good, but I did feel like it faded on my cheeks by the end of the day a little bit. Maybe that's just the way it appeared to me under the lights. We'll see what it looks like on the camera footage once I go back and edit this video. It may look a lot better, but that's why I like to do wear tests so you can see up close what the products look like at the end of the day for yourself, and you can make an informed decision. The eyebrow pencil, now I was really impressed by this one. I really liked how natural it looked on the brows. It didn't look like I was wearing makeup at all, and it held up throughout the day too. So this one would get 2 thumbs up from me. Really, really liked it. The lipstick, I have a real problem spending this much money on a tube of color. That's really all it is. I mean, I didn't really care for that color in particular. It was very moisturizing on the lips. I liked the way it felt, but there are drugstore lipsticks that feel the same way and that wear a little bit longer, because this one, to be honest with you, came off of my lips within 3 hours, and I wasn't even eating or drinking at that point. It just, not too happy with it. Overall, out of all the products I tried here, I really liked the concealer, the brow product. The blush was pretty good, and the eyeshadow was pretty good too. I would say the winner that stood out to me out of everything I tried was the brow product, and that would be the one that I would recommend really looking at if you were going to go for a product from Charlotte Tilbury. Just my opinion. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Just because something doesn't work for me does not mean that it will not work for you, and I highly recommend samples of products at Sephora if anything does interest you. That's usually the best way to try products out. And please don't think my opinions on products like this in any way, shape, or form reflect my opinion on the creator, because I love Charlotte Tilbury. I think she is talented, gorgeous, and like I said, I could listen to her talk all day because I absolutely love her accent. So beautiful woman, love her to death. The quality of the products wasn't right for me. But for the most part, I hope that you did find this helpful if you are considering any makeup products from Charlotte Tilbury. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Please subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.